Focus. Focus up. What is going on? My name is Chris Rubio along with Nicholas Monaghan. This is the 18th episode of the Rubio Method. We have a phenomenal show for you. We are going to cover the following topics and possibly even more. Vegas and gambling. Who we want to interview. My Damon Dale stuck in a room. The best possible job in sports. Proper terms to use, and this one should get really interesting, being 2PC. All of that and much, much more on the 18th episode of the Rubio Method. Christian, I'm out. Focus. Focus up. Talking to you, Abraham, out in Cummings, Georgia. What's going on? Thanks for watching on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Google, and Apple Podcasts, and of course, NGBN.TV. Monaghan, talk to me, Daddy. What do we got?
All right, today, folks, we're talking about music. I love music, and chances are you probably do too. So why are we talking about it? So music has been linked to uplifting our moods and making us have better, more healthier mental health. And that's what we're all about here. So today we're going to talk about making your favorite playlist. And so what I would suggest in a way, if you're having a rough day or if you're looking to kind of spruce up your day, I want you to have a playlist. And as Rubio says, there are no dirty little secrets. They're all good. Pick out songs that you absolutely love, something that's really going to put you in a good mood, especially if you're having a rough day, because research has found that music is an excellent way to reduce stress, and it is inexpensive and is as inexpensive as exercise, and it'll get you the same endorphins almost as exercise. So get that playlist that you like, get it all revved up and ready to go, and get in better moods, baby. Let's go.
That was a phenomenal minute with Monaghan. And you know what's also great about playlists nowadays, Monaghan, is that you can actually share them. So you can create a playlist for me, and I can create one for you, and we can just share it. Very, very easy. Actually, would be a very nice thing to do for your buddy, your friend, wife, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, anything like that. Monaghan, do you have any website questions for us?
Yes, absolutely. First and foremost, this comes from Tucker in Florida, or Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Says you both have spoken about Vegas a couple times. So I must ask, do you like to gamble, and what's your game of choice? I'll go first. Yes, I love gambling. It's literally so much fun. But I don't like to play I like playing card games with my friends, but I don't like to play gambling games. I love sports betting. It is literally my favorite. NFL, college ball, whatever. I love it. What about you, Rubio?
Absolutely loathe it. I can't stand it because every single time someone will give me like $20, just gamble because I'm such a fuddy-duddy, as they say. I don't know who says that, but someone does. They'll give me $20 just to gamble to shut me up, and I will immediately stress and say, okay, that's this. I have to work this much harder to earn that $20 back, or do that. And then I'm the guy who, if I'm sitting behind you at a table, the whole entire time I'm cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out. So I hate gambling. I don't like it. It makes me very, very nervous. I'm starting to shake just thinking about it.
That's a great answer. Number 2, this comes from Steve in Henderson, Nevada. Speaking of Las Vegas, that's right next door. If you both can interview a couple people, who would be on your list? I'll take that one again. Brian Urlacher, just because I think he's super interesting. And I grew up a huge Chicago Bears fan, which I wouldn't suggest is the most terrible existence on the face of the earth. Rubio knows it. It's terrible. And I had Brian Urlacher, and then I also had Kenny Chesney, because he had quite the run back in the early 2000s. I think it'd be really cool to hear all his stories. What about you, Rubio?
I wrote down 5. Vince Vaughn, I think he's hilarious. Jared Kiso, the creator of Letterkenny. I'd just love to see the way his mind works. Michelle Tafoya, I've mentioned that before. I think she's super courageous in what she did. And my last 2 would be complete opposites, but I love to talk to them. And you know me, I love to argue. I would pick Joey B, that's what I call Biden. I think it would be great. And El Trumpo, that's what I call Trump. I would love to interview those guys.
That would be wild. They get them both in the same room. Last question. Okay, so Rubio, a little birdie told me about you getting your youngest son, Damon Dale, out of a bathroom in a unique way. Can you please elaborate?
All right, so I'm not sure who wrote this in, but I'm a little bit upset with them. But here we go. Anyway, Damon he was at the age where he was walking and he was talking, but not like really like a year or two. I don't know how. Once kids start growing, you forget kind of the milestones. And he goes into the bathroom, our hallway bathroom, and he opens up a drawer. He shuts the door and opens a drawer, and so you can't open the door to get in. And he was just at the age where, okay, my mind starts to wander, and I go, okay, what if he falls in the toilet like head first? I mean, what if he starts the sink or the tub or something? And we're trying to tell him, like, Damon, shut the drawer, because we can't get in, man. And he's too young and dumb. They don't know what's going on. So he's just giggling, having a good time. And he's just we can start to hear him, and then it gets quiet, and you're like, okay, well, what's happening here? And so I'm like, what am I going to do? There's no window because it's right in the middle of the house. So I go out to our garden shed, because this is the way my mind works. And I get a pair of tree trimmer, shrubbery clippers. I don't know what the hell they're called. It's like Edward Scissor type things. And I proceed to go up to the door, because I'm going to just jam it in. I'm just going to literally just break it down. That's what I can do. Can't unscrew it because the hinge is on the other side. And so I immediately get these clippers, and I'm like, just like this. My wife goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm gonna smash the door open." She goes, "Why don't you raise it up a little bit, because you're pretty much eye level with him right there?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's probably a good move."
Probably a good idea.
5-6 feet high, whatever. I jammed him in there. It looked like The Shining or something. So it's a great horror movie. And I proceeded to get a hole big enough with these shears or whatever the hell they're called. And I reached my hand in, unlocked it, and pushed the drawer in, and everything is fine.
Wow. That was fantastic. I feel like I'm going to have to hit you up because my son's 4 months old, and I feel like give me a year, I'll be right there with you.
It was frightening, but now it's funny.
There we go. That's awesome.
All right, that's going to wrap up this fantastic email question segment. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always email rubio@therubiomethod.com. And thanks for subscribing on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon, and of course, Apple and NGBN.TV. Next up, our fabulous guest, Christian. I'm out.
Military families often sacrifice precious time away from loved ones while serving our country.
We were worried that with him leaving, that she would lose those connections with her dad.
Some of life's best moments happen between parents, children, and the pages of a good book. United Through Reading provides that connection. And now, United Through Reading is also available to veterans. Learn more about United Through Reading at unitedthroughreading.org.
Focus up. Talking to you, Mike, out in Seattle, Washington. Thanks for subscribing on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon, Apple, and of course, NGBN.TV. We have a phenomenal guest. You're going to absolutely love this guy. His name is Ed McAndrew. Let me give you a little bit about him. He's had 30 years experience of working with accounting and ERP systems, or ERP. He has worked with pretty much every damn software out there, and I don't know what any of them are. So he's big time and into the big time tech industry stuff. We're going to try to find out a little bit about it, because I literally did a lot of research and I still can't figure it out. He's been married for 30 years, lived his entire life in Virginia, and has 2 kids. He is a little person living in a big world. His wife, kids, parents, and all siblings are all normal. He is 53 years old, and for about the past 4 years, he thought he's been put here to do much more. So let's find out about Ed. Ed, thanks for coming on, my man.
Rubio, thank you for having me, man. It's really great being here. Yeah, so that's a good intro. Yeah, I've been in business for a long time.
Thanks. We're going to try to break down exactly what you're all about, and we're going to get to the bottom line of it all. So
Sounds
number
good.
one, we got 3 quick questions for you, just kind of break the seal, so to speak. You were a coxswain in college, and I got to know, is that easily the best job in sports? Because what I'm seeing, for those that don't know, and I'll send Jeff a picture that he can put out there, a coxswain, you're basically in the giant canoe boat or whatever, and you're the dude yelling at people?
Yes, you are actually exactly right. I was the coxswain for the women's lightweight 8 at St. Joe's when I was in college. And it is a good job. However, the tradition is when you win a race, the coxswain gets thrown into the river. I've been thrown into both the Potomac River and the Schuylkill River in PA based on wins that we had. So yes, it's fun, but however, when you're rowing in November or October and you're thrown into a river, it's a little chilly. Yes, great time, but yeah. So yes, I was.
Oh, I'm absolutely out. And how do you pronounce it? It's not coxswain.
It's coxswain. Yeah, it's a coxswain.
Well, that they
basically steer the boat.
You steer the boat by just yelling.
No, actually, you control the oars. There's two little strings that you turn, and the slightest adjustment moves you one way or the other.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's not as easy as seriously. You have to take into account the current of the river you're rowing on, plus the rowers. There's 8 in the boat, or I was coxing on an 8, so there was 8 in the boat. So if you had power on one side and not the other, if it wasn't equal in power, the boat could move, and you would have to compensate for that with moving the rudder and the wind and any debris. Yeah, actually, it's interesting you bring this up. We're kind of getting our alumni boats back together, and what was it? It was earlier this year. We actually had an alumni 8 ahead of the Schuylkill that I was coxing. Hadn't been in a boat for, let's say 30 years or so, and we've start slowly getting it back together. It's a fun sport.
Okay.
And again, it's, and actually, this is where my size became a big advantage, because I was small enough and at the right weight back in college that if the coxswain's not a certain weight, you have to sandbag the boat. It's better to have live weight. Yes, it's better to have live weight in a boat than dead weight. And they didn't have to sandbag the boat.
Well, hell yeah. And if I was a coxswain, I'd be popping a damn wheelie. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is some of the other coxswains were too light. Some of the others that they were trying. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. This was, So anyway.
So you're about the 5th guest that has said Rocky is their favorite series. What does it for you on that movie or that series?
The underdog. He was an underdog. It's just that I'm a Philly guy. It's Philly. I watch that, and I mean, I've run the steps. I've been to South Philly. I have a lot of friends in the area. It's the whole underdog, where he overcomes. It's like what we've talked about. You and I have talked about it. You overcome the adversity, and even through overcoming the adversities, there's still different struggles.
Oh, you're always gonna have that. What's your go-to snack?
My go-to snack. That's good. My go-to snack are probably dry cereal right now. I eat a lot of dry cereal. Like Raisin Bran, Cheerios type stuff, because I sit behind a computer all day. Yeah. But my actual go-to food, I like baked goods.
Okay.
All kinds of baked goods.
You can't go wrong with a baked good. Ed, you and I connected on LinkedIn, and immediately you started, commenting on a post or liking a post, and I can immediately see the way you were commenting and the way I commented. I'm like, okay, this dude and I, we connect because we're both, I don't want to use the word rude, but a little bit rude, a little bit crude, a little bit just more bottom line. And just, you could see we were kind of on the same path.
Right.
And I'm very un-PC. I think you're very un-PC the more that I talk to you. And so I'm going to hit right out of the gate with this question. What the hell are you? What I mean by that is this. Are you here's why I'm asking, because number one, I've got no couth. And number two is that I've seen you post about it different ways, where I've seen you post that you're a little person, quote unquote little person. But then I've also seen you Dwarfism Awareness Month.
Yes.
Is it what's the proper word? Is it midget? Is it dwarf? Is it little person? Is it dude? I mean, what is it? Talk to me.
Well, good question, Rubio. And you know what? It's kind of like, I figured this was going to come out of it, so I was kind of been thinking about it. Like if you and I were at a bar and you came up and asked me, my first comment would be saying, "I'm Ed. Nice to meet you, Rubio."
Yeah.
Anyway, really, for me, it's it's dwarf or short statured. I know the common people who I am what they call an achondroplast dwarf. There's about 400 different types of dwarfism in the world. It's like one in 100,000 births, I think, is the statistics. And typical dwarf who has achondroplasia is born to average sized parents more times than not. So, so that's kind of where I am. It's basically skeletal dysplasia. Dwarfism is, in fact, my torso's average size. So the average size, I have an average size male torso. It's my limbs that are short, and I have a sway back. I have some stenosis in my like lower L4, L5 area. That's kind of chronic. And so those are some of the things. And so by saying that, dwarfs are out of proportion.
Okay.
And where really, if you look at the definition of a midget, midgets are smaller people in proportion. So really, basically to answer your question, I prefer Ed.
Yeah.
But if we have to label, and we can get into this in a little bit, if we have to label me, I would prefer dwarf or short statured. Saying to me, little person is a diminutive term in the sense that I'm short, but I'm not little.
Yeah, you're not teeny tiny.
No, I have a 17.5-inch neck. I'm not little.
What's my neck? Because that seems big.
No, it is. I have very broad shoulders. I think we've talked about it. I come from a very long. I have the build of all the men in my family, except I have short arms and legs.
So yeah, because your brothers are 6 feet and 6'4", right?
Yes, and I have uncles that are that big, and my father was that big, and I have cousins that are that big.
Okay,
I got the short end. I got the short straw.
the short end of the stick. No, you and I are going to be the PC police are coming after you and I today.
Exactly, but it's and we've talked about this a little bit. I think we've gotten too much into this labeling and PC and stuff. And I think one of the things, my post about, meeting the little girl in the store, where her dad kind of said, "Hey, just say hi to him." I think a lot in a lot of senses nowadays, people are afraid to do that. Parents, especially when their kids call out. The kid called out first because the kids don't have filters, which is good. Out of the mouth of babes, as they say.
Yeah.
And when the dad said, just say hi to him, I was like, that's a very encouraging fact because he's teaching his daughter. That's what we need to do. That's, we talk to people. That's how we learn. And that's how we communicate. And, I finally saw her and we chatted. I said hi. She was like 3 years old.
Okay, real quick, Ed. Real quick. The story he's talking about on LinkedIn. This right after I saw this story. Basically, Ed was going to the store. He noticed that this girl, let's say 4 to 7 years old. I don't know how old she was.
She was probably 4.
4, and she's kind of like looking at him, and notices, okay, this is an adult, but he's, shorter stature. And the dad had the intelligence to just say, you got a question, go ask him. He's not a damn alien. And to you, that's exactly what I would have done too. I would say, use your words, go talk, find out. And so it comforts everyone because, if he like said, just go to the corner, don't look. Number one, you look like an idiot. Number two, that's not helping out the overall situation. And number three, she's never going to learn.
Right. But and that gets back to our whole PC thing. People are afraid to say the wrong thing. They don't know. I think in some cases people are afraid to say the wrong thing. Plus, it's a two-way street, Rubio. And what I mean by that, and I was telling somebody this earlier today, is that a lot of people who are uniquely different, like myself, aren't always receptive to those questions and comments and stuff like that. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying, I think it has to be kind of a give and take on both sides because that's how we learn and that's how we gain acceptance. Yes. Prejudice is born out of a fear and a lack of understanding of something that you don't know about. That's really
100%. Because you always see like a lot of time where people are prejudiced about, a certain color person or a left-handed person. I'm just throwing things out there.
Right.
And you're like, well, how many of those people do you know? None. Then how can you possibly be prejudiced against that? It's impossible. You're prejudiced against this political party. Well, how many do you really hang out with and talk to? 2? Well, maybe you're just talking to 2 assholes from that party. And it's one of those things. But go into the PC thing, Ed. Do you think it's more of a, why do you think people are not as, let's say, like you and I, where we just kind of speak? Do you think it's fear of being canceled or something like that?
I think it's fear. I think we're just so overprotective of what, of other people's feelings, and I just think we've gone so far to saying, what is there are so many terms now for everything. It's like, what is the right term to use? Mm-hmm. And nobody knows. And if somebody comes to me and says, hey, are you a midget? I'd be like, I know they're coming from a place of
ignorance.
Ignorance in the sense that they don't know, not in a place of being mean.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and say, no, I'm a little person or what have you. Or like when kids say, why are you small? I look at them, smile and say, because that's how God made me. They make mm-hmm. people big and tall. And I think that is part. I think that's a big part of it, is that people are just afraid to say the wrong thing and hurt feelings. And I think we've gotten a little soft, as a society with regards to our feelings and emotions, that, everything people say, either we're hooray, 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 or we're, sad, angry, hurt. It's two extremes. There's no middle anymore. And I think you see that in society.
Well, yeah. And I don't think it's a good way to live, because you can't tiptoe through life, because eventually you're going to come up to a dude or, someone who is not towing that line, and they're going to just be like, okay. And they're going to talk to you, and your feelings are going to get hurt because they asked if you wanted a vanilla scoop of ice cream. It's like, right. That's not a big deal. No one cares. And I think that's where I am good with it, is that people can talk to me, call me brown, black, yellow, green, fat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you are, as long as you're not an idiot. And I think it's the lack of caring. It gets me into trouble sometimes because of what I say, but it's also, it helps me out where my skin is pretty damn thick.
Right. And I think that's how it needs to be. And that's, that has its pluses and minuses. My skin's been thick, but that also, having the thick skin, we have to find that happy medium, in the sense that when you have a thick skin, you lack vulnerability. When you lack vulnerability, you could lack opening up to people and being, they say, emotionally connected somewhat. So, you got to kind of find, that's why I say you got to, and I'll be honest, I'm working on that, finding that happy medium between being kind of my protective self and allowing me to be more vulnerable. And that's why I've kind of started doing these posts out there. That's kind of me sharing something that is, a part of me that I typically wouldn't. And,
and it's out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And, Ian Hill and the rest of the guys, Chris, Charles, yourself, you guys have kind of given me that strength, kind of in just our communications through LinkedIn, to kind of do that and be more, supportive and say, okay, it's our right to do that.
Yeah. And it's okay. And it's okay to talk to people, and it's okay just to take that first step. If you take the first step, you're gonna continue on to the journey. Usually it's just a matter of taking that first step.
Exactly.
I remember one time I was bungee jumping a long time ago, and the dude was like 3, 2, 1, and he says the first step is the hardest, obviously. Mm-hmm. But after, it literally said too, after I say 1, if within 1 second you don't go, we pull you back in because you'll never go. And
that's how.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's exactly. I kind of use that sometimes to get myself motivated to get moving. I count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At 1, you get off. It's like NASA. You blast off.
Yeah.
And because you have to have that jumping point.
Speaking of thick skin, growing up, smaller statured, kids are idiots. How did you handle that growing up through elementary, middle school, high school, college, and beyond?
It's good question. I was really blessed through all of those, and through today. I've had, a great group of friends that have always, been there for me. I really wasn't, as much. I wasn't really picked on that much, with the exception of, your buddies, bust your stones for things. I was not adverse to that, through grade school, high school, and stuff like that. I have wrestling teammates that I'm very close with, that I still keep in contact with. But how I handled it is I usually ignored it, or my friends would actually would say something to them. And I mean, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of way. But what would and they would if somebody was pointing or laughing, my friends would get involved more. Like if we were at the mall or something.
And if your friends are anything like my friends, your friends are probably the rudest people of all of them.
Yeah, and no, they would want to take care of it. And it was one of those things like we can mess with him, but you can't because we're all family. It's the whole family thing. But what used to always drive me crazy is like if I was out when we was younger and my mom would say, like I'd be out with my mom and my mom would say something. I'd be like, Mom, no, stop doing that. Don't do that. It's like somebody's pointing you. You shouldn't point and make fun of him. And I'm like, Mom, no, uncool.
Mm-hmm.
It's all it's all good anyway.
Speaking of your mom, I saw a quote where she said, Ed is the only little person who doesn't know he's a little person. When did you decide to not let your size define you?
When I was second grade.
Okay, what happened in second grade?
I can remember we were watching a Pele soccer movie or a film strip back in the day. And I said, I want to play soccer. And I started playing soccer about then, but I was playing with my friends in the regular leagues, and everything I did with them. There was no special treatment. I didn't want it. I turned it away. It was like I played soccer at the regular level. I tried out for my freshman soccer team in high school, thinking I was going to make it. I had and I didn't. I mean, some of the stuff in your mind, you're just like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. There are things today. I have these grandiose plans that like, I don't see myself as not achieving, but in essence, I may not. I'm slowly starting to accept more of that. That's kind of another part of the process that I'm going through with regards to, kind of acknowledging. I mean, you made a comment about the Dwarfism Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
That was way outside my comfort zone, Rubio, in the sense that was me acknowledging to a public forum that I'm actually a little person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never really done that before. It's kind of, I was talking to a friend and I was like, I'm acknowledging in my own mind what everybody's known for 53 years. I'm just now starting to recognize.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When you did that, did it feel like, oh,
it's starting to.
Mm-hmm.
I still, there are things that kind of bum me out that I can't do because it's just not going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think you look at it in a good way. And there's no matter who the hell you are, okay, you could be a short stature person. You're not dunking a basketball.
No,
right?
Nope, not dunking a basketball.
I'm not going to be sitting comfortably in a Delta plane seat. Okay, it just there's certain things that people cannot do. It is what it is.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to part my hair tonight. Either are you. Okay, so it's just one of those things.
Mine's by choice. I don't know. Mine's by choice though.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And I don't know if yours is. I don't know. So mine's by choice.
We'll say it's by choice.
Absolutely no.
Ed, this was fantastic. Well, where can people, if they have questions for you, obviously they can email Rubio at therubiomethod.com and we can funnel them over. What do you got going on with your life? What do you want to promote?
You know what? I don't really promote anything right now. I don't know. I don't have anything at the moment. If you want, reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Ed McAndrew. You can find me there. Feel free to reach out, connect, and kind of go from there. But I had fun time, Rubio. Thank you for having me on here. This was great. It's all about having fun and about being the best we can be.
I couldn't agree more, Ed. Thank you very much. Great segment. Christian, I'm out.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Focus. Focus up. I'm talking to you, TC out or California, wherever your motorhome is taking you. And Laura, thanks for watching on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon, Apple, and of course, ngbn.tv. You have any questions for myself, Monaghan, or Ed, you can email Rubio at therubiomethod.com. That was a great interview. Really enjoyed our time with Ed. Right now, it's time for the bottom line for all you new watchers and listeners. The bottom line is our final segment. It's just basically the stuff you should have learned without even realizing you learned it. Number one, let the music play, my man. Like Monaghan said in his Minute with Monaghan, is find a good playlist. Create your own playlist. Ask someone to create you a playlist. It'll take you into a whole different realm. It really helps out your mind and your body. So let the music play, my man. Number two, sometimes you must take the first step to reach the end goal. Like we were talking about with Ed. You got to take that first step. Like we talked about the bungee jumping, you got to take that first step. And usually that first step is the hardest, but you'll notice that once you take the first step, the goal becomes closer and closer and closer. And three, you are who you are, and no one or any one thing can or should define you. This is what Ed was talking about, how 4 years ago he decided, okay, I'm going to basically start saying what I want to say. I want to start doing what I want to do. And there was a massive confidence factor, and how we talked about how when he put the dwarfism awareness month thing out, how it was basically off his chest. And he was accepting something that people have been accepting for 53 years or 49 years or whatever it was before then. But you got to be able to do that and understand that not one person, I don't care if it's your height, your skin, if you're left-handed, you're right-handed, your political beliefs, that should not define you. You define who you are, and no one else can do that. This was a phenomenal episode 18 of the Rubio Method. Christian, I'm out.